This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Andrew Castle.
9:04. Andrew Castle here on LBC. A report has found where all lanes are open, there was a 216% increased chance of being involved in a live lane breakdown. This is the subject of smart motorways that we're talking about. Now, just you know, there's a great book, Radical Uncertainty, by Mervyn King, former governor of the Bank of England and serious brain. And one of the things he says is that you've got to ask in every situation, no matter what you're facing, is what's going on here? And that's a very, very good question. What's going on with smart motorways? It is very, very obvious when large chunks of metal are going really, really fast, that when something goes wrong, because they do break down, it's going to present a danger if there is nowhere for that chunk of metal to go. So if a tyre goes, or if a windscreen goes, or if the car breaks in some other way, and I admit that breakdowns don't happen so much anymore, such as the manufacturing tolerances of cars, very high quality these days. Cars used to break down all the time. But if somebody breaks down, where are you supposed to go? I think I'd like to hear from professional drivers this hour, people who spend a lot of time on motorways, whether it's sales or whether it's a lorry driver. That would be great to hear from you. What is the reality of smart motorways? Because it strikes me that if I ask myself the question, what's going on here, I can't answer it. It's obvious that they're going to be dangerous and they're not going to work. I can't understand why we don't understand that. There's nowhere to go if you break down. It's just crazy. If you don't have a hard shoulder, higher rates of fatalities and serious injuries will occur. An independent report. Why have we got an independent report on this? The report was commissioned by lawyers for Claire Mercer, whose husband Jason Mercer was killed. And we'll be speaking to Claire Mercer in just a... Well, in fact, we'll speak to Claire now. Claire, good morning to you.
Morning.
I can't believe that you are having to have this debate at a time of such tragedy for you and such difficulty. Claire, what happened to your husband?
He had a minor bump on the motorway in Sheffield. They were at a sign that said no hard shoulder for 4 miles. They couldn't see the nearest emergency refuge area because it was a mile out of sight. And nearly 2 years ago, we knew less about smart motorways than we do now. So I don't even know if he knew that he was on an all-lanes running smart motorway and what to even do. So they pulled over to the left-hand lane, him and the other motorist. They couldn't get right out of the lane because of the crash barrier, and they themselves couldn't get over the crash barrier because there was a 30-foot drop onto a slip road below. Oh. So because people always, we did get a lot of comments saying, well, it needs smart people on smart motorways and victim blaming. But it's not that. It's not that at all. You'll get some people that say it today. You will.
Really?
Yes, you will.
That it was Jason's fault and this other driver that they stopped in the wrong place is what you think that they'll say? Yes,
because they'll say that they should have known to go further and things like this. But they were, but we're told there's all this technology in place. We're told that, yes, we're removing the hard shoulder, but we're putting CCTV cameras in. We're putting MIDAS technology that will tell when the whole motorway is stopped. And we're putting SVD that can tell when just a couple of vehicles have stopped. Well, they've now had to admit in 3 consecutive inquests that the control room operators are doing so many different tasks, they actually only occasionally look at the screens. So your chances of being picked up by a human are nil. The MIDAS technology didn't work. Even when Jason and Alexandru stopped, nothing picked them up. And even when they were dead across the motorway at the scene of utter carnage, and that's a quote, it didn't pick them up then. It relied on people ringing in and saying, close the motorway. And then SVD, that would have saved their lives, doesn't even exist. They can't get it working properly and it's not installed.
What is SVD?
Stationary vehicle detection. It can tell when just a couple of vehicles stop. So, they just didn't stand a chance.
No. They're continuing the development. The department. Why aren't people listening to you?
Because you're going to think I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but there's a lot of money involved, a lot of money. Each contract for each area is worth billions of pounds. There is a lot of civil engineering companies clamouring for these contracts, and I imagine they do a lot of lobbying for the government as well. So there's an awful lot of money involved in this. Right. But we shouldn't have been committing to this 15 years ago because of climate change. Why were we expanding motorways? But certainly post-pandemic, we shouldn't be doing that. There's not going to be the same need.
You don't strike me as somebody that's going to back off easily, Claire.
No. Well, it's taken a year to get that report done. We've had to stick to our guns, and it seemed like the campaign has been a bit inactive, but it's taken a year. And the report writer warned me that she was going to write what she found and not necessarily what I wanted her to write. But it vindicates everything we've been saying, and we are going to fight tooth and nail.
It just stands to reason, doesn't it? If Jason and the other driver had a hard shoulder to go to, and they could have gone up a bank or whatever it is, get away from the vehicles, and they wouldn't have been hit, and we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yep, it's 4 inquests that I've now attended, remotely or otherwise, and in time after time, at the end of hours of debating and questioning, it's yes, but would they have still been alive if there'd been a hard shoulder? And members of high up staff in Highways England have had to conclude yes, they would be.
Every road death, says Highways England, is a tragic loss of life, and we're determined to reduce the number of fatal incidents and injuries on our roads, but not so determined that they're not pursuing a policy of constructing motorways that your study has shown cause death.
Yeah, they can't even tailor an individual response. It's the same one every single time. One death on our roads is too many. And they just bunkering down, they're digging in. So that's what this report was commissioned for, because frankly, I think there's too many people writing reports at the moment. We've got 4 official bodies or government departments currently reviewing smart motorways again, just 12 months after Grant Shapps did it last time, or got Highways England to do it on his behalf. So they wrote their own report. Yeah. So we've got 4 different departments doing it again. But the sole purpose of this report is to present to Highways England, which it has been done, with a letter before action, and they've now got 21 days to say, yep, okay, we'll adopt every single one of them points, which the main one is put the hard shoulder back in every single instance. And if they don't, we can now file in court for a judicial review.
It's a big fight, Claire, and the circumstances which have thrown you into this arena is horrific. And I'm very, very sorry for your loss, and I hope that you're, okay as you can be. All the best to you, Claire. Thank you very much indeed. That's powerful testimony indeed. Smart motorways. Can anybody make the case for these things? I mean, seriously, don't put the smart motorways in. Take them out again.